It's good to see you, Bill. Oh, man, it's so good to be here. Go4Sam and, Dollar Bill back together again with a table. It's a beautiful studio.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. Just we're on the heels of FloydFest 26 Daydream announced, and you invited me here.
So good.
And this is the place to be. This place is incredible.
I had such a good time this past year.
You did?
It was really good.
With Red Panda?
Yeah, I mean, as a musician, it was great, but also just as a enjoyer of the festival, it was amazing. I thought that the infrastructure, everything was super cool.
We worked really hard on that, in the off season. Listen to the patrons did it. It was like 50 site improvement projects, as you hopefully saw. And we were super encouraged because the patrons actually noticed stuff we never thought they'd notice. Like, hey, you extended the gravel 3 feet this way. Thanks for that.
Well, and as much as I want to talk about this past FloydFest and future FloydFests, I want to start for the OGs, the patrons that have been down since day one. Let's talk about the FloydFests of yore, the old ones, the original ones. How did it get started? How did you become involved? As a trip down nostalgia lane for all the people who have been involved in it for such a long time.
Well, I'm grateful to be sitting here and be able to explain some of that. You nailed it. The FloydFest family is kind of who we're speaking to on all this, right? And that's truly the lifeblood of what this hall is and what it was and what it will be. 2002, I guess, is when it all started, the same year as Bonnaroo, oddly enough. I always say, too, that was the time where
2002, the same year as Bonnaroo.
There it is.
We got something on.
Something there. We haven't unearthed that yet, and we should. Coming out of somber thing here, September 11th, America's wanted to gather. They wanted community back. And you'll see a lot of music festivals started in that time period. And FloydFest obviously was one of them, right off the Blue Ridge Parkway, milepost 170.5, I believe. And Chris Hodges, Erica Johnson, give them credit. They started the festival. I did not start the festival. And they had an idea for a world music festival. Chris had done some travels in Africa. Preceding this, they had opened a restaurant called Oddfellas in downtown Floyd, Virginia. Floyd, Virginia, artisan county town, right? We can go into those roots later. Very interesting how Floyd kind of came to be and had the brand of, it was both country and hippie and mountainous and farmer.
Which is kind of like personifies the town of Floyd. Mm-hmm. It's always been kind of a music town, right?
Absolutely, right? It's on the Crooked Road, not too far from the Carter Fold. It is truly an old-time bastion of old-time music, right?
Floyd Country Store.
Yes, been around forever. The Friday night jams of the Floyd Country Store to this day are an incredible thing to watch. People come from everywhere. County sales, I'll say that real quick. There was a music store that actually sadly just had to close, but it was the confluence of all of the different styles of old-time music. They'd bring their recordings there back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and it was a way you could listen to the different banjo styles, let's say, from a different region, just, 5-10 miles down the road. So that's interesting. That's the roots, right? Well, Chris and Erica really had an idea for a world music festival. And Chris had worked with the African Showboys in Africa and put them on tour over there and met them. And he said, we're going to do a United States tour. So we brought these guys over, a whole bunch of them, right? Families came over. And he kind of came up with the Floyd County World Music Festival, is what it was called. They made the mistake of calling it the first annual. It's always inaugural. It's never the first time we've ever done this every year.
I like the truncated name better, I think.
Yeah, it quickly became FloydFest, and that was not their doing, right? Everyone just truncated themselves. They're like, we're not calling it the Floyd County World Music Festival. So the first festival really was world music, but it had this amazing lineup, right? I mean, we're talking Doc Watson, our forefather in Boone, when you and I both have Boone heritage there, and he was in that lineup there. The list goes on. It was actually held in, let's say, this September, okay? And it was more popular than they could have ever imagined. I think they were expecting maybe 1,000 people, 750, and about 3,000 plus came.
Wow. Who
Who also came to the party was a hurricane, okay? So we had really, really cold temperatures. In addition to that, we had basically hurricane-type conditions at times. The people stayed. They had an amazing time. It was the next year that it was moved to August because they were like, we're going to get rid of the hurricane that came in September. Hurricane also came in August, but more people also came. Well, it took a couple years down the line, and this festival kept growing, right? And it actually became a teensy bit less world music, a little more Americana, a little more roots, a little more rock and roll. And it really focused on the up-and-coming bands, right? Let's give a stage to the up-and-coming bands. At the time, it was called Under the Radar. I think we all got kind of lost in translation and eventually became On the Rise.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really funny. You look back and we had amnesia, collective amnesia at that time. And it kept growing, and people got a name for itself. It really was lucky in a lot of sense that it just hit the right word of mouth.
While you're talking about On the Rise, one thing I've heard you say a lot is that your goal, you and your team collectively, when booking bands for FloydFest, you often try to catch bands
On the way up.
On the way up.
Yeah, it used to be a joke. It was almost like they were trying to be derogatory. We get them on the way up or the way down. And, we'll say it, we feel bad, like Levon Helm, one of my favorite artists of all time, probably one of his last performances ever was at FloydFest. Greg Allman, who we all love so much, truly his last performance was at FloydFest, didn't even get to perform. That's on the way down, right? But on the way up, you're exactly right. It's so important to us. And as I get into the 2000s explaining the story, another big band that was on the rise, sleeping out of their car, making no money at the first FloydFest was the Avey Brothers. Right?
Oh, man.
They won the On the Rise competition, Under the Radar. They were invited back, of course, the next year with good pay to open up for a big name on the main stage. They killed it, right?
Right here in North Carolina.
Right here, man, right here. Dolph Ramser, right up in Linville, I think, still takes care of them to this day. But they're going to enter the story probably a little later of really the relationships that you have to create in the music industry, and that's helped us survive. So FloydFest got real big. The lineups were known for a tastemaker kind of festival that we did get them on the way up, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were able to be relied upon to show you what was going to be next. And that was, a lot of credit to those that came before me. Around the end of that decade, I started integrating into FloydFest. We can get into my kind of origin story, but I was getting to know you in North Carolina.
Which was a good thing.
It was a great thing, and we had some times that will go live on in infamy, as we say there. And
Thank goodness there was no social media back then.
We were just talking about this, right? The permanency would have taken a lot of us out of the ranks there. But we also, you have to make money in the music festival business, and so we took over these wine festivals in D.C., Vintage Virginia and the Virginia Wine Festival. And boy, the stories of these things. First of all, the joke was Floyd goes to Washington. It was all of us hippies kind of like piling into these cars, going in the dead center of Washington.
Kind of like when Ernest
goes to camp.
Or jail or whatever.
That's probably the mix of those two is the wine festival. We're talking stilettos.
Do people even know about Ernest these days?
Dude, yes, and like this is not Big Johnson. Like that went away completely, right? Ernest. I think did Ernest die?
I don't know.
We wouldn't know.
Can we check do you guys? Oh,
we could do a little.
We don't have the
flash up.
technology set up yet.
Yeah, we'll in post.
We'll Google it later
And put that in. We'll definitely Google it.
Yeah, we'll put it in.
We should have had like ChatGPT over here to tell us like an AI read meeting notes.
ChatGPT was supposed to come, but they had another engagement.
Right, stretched pretty thin these days. So we had these wine festivals. I was doing other stuff. Never thought in a million years. I'm actually from Roanoke, and Floyd is right beside Roanoke. For all you guys don't know. But I never thought I'd be back in Roanoke. Had no interest in it. But I started working these wine festivals. That's actually where I met my wife, Trisha Ann. And these were hilarious, right? Because these people in D.C. would be bussed into one location, a pretty big field, and they'd be given free wine for 8 hours, right? And they were bussed out, so drinking and driving was not a big thing there. And we'd give them these glasses, right? We always use these reusables. Sustainability is a big thing at Crossway Productions and FloydFest. No different, except they're glass. And we would station up. The events would end at about 6 p.m. every day, and they had to walk out of the place and get in the bus and go home. Drunk, just super drunk. And we'd tell them, you have to empty your glass, right? We do this little thing right there. 9 times out of 10, this is no lie, they would look at the glass, look at you, and just throw it on the ground. So we ended up having this guy with just this push broom, kind of like a cartoon, that would just go and just push the glass out of the way, right? It was comical, but I got to meet my wife there. It was a way for FloydFest to survive. And I'll kind of fast forward a bit into these years, and we learned something. We learned a really tough lesson that helped become part of our brand. We grew very fast. And our site, if you're pushing it, at our old site could fit about 15,000 people over 5 days, 100 bands, 8 stages.
And you got married there.
Got married there, and another monsoon. I think the second highest amount of rain ever to fall was during my wedding.
I had some really expensive equipment that was ruined.
Yes, I think it's some of your equipment, Bill. Yeah. Oh man, thanks for being there. We have 2 wedding pictures from our wedding. We have you from a distance on the stage, because that's the only place you can get a camera dry enough to fit in. But one of the ones when I'm holding my darling wife right after we get married, you can see the cloud burst behind us. It was just a thing to come. Oh, good memories. So 2000, well, we'll call it FloydFest 12, Rise and Shine. It's now called FloodFest. And it was a perfect storm. And I'll go back into our themes in a bit, but that's kind of how we remember some of these things. But we had oversold the festival, right? We had oversold going into Sunday, and then we sold even more tickets, single-day tickets, because Alison Krauss, Union Station, was going to have a killer set on that main stage, right? She's doing great. Boy, Wouldn't Hold Corn was about to just rage on that thing. And the skies opened up, and we got above 4 inches of rain. And at the time, of course, we had shuttle systems, right? They had to get people on and off that site because we were only 50 acres and we had about 80 acres off site where people could park, some people could camp. And there was nothing you could do to get those people off the site. And it rained and it rained and it flooded. And I'll say this now, our number one job is to keep people safe. Mm-hmm. We pushed the boundaries of that in that year. You can't write the Armageddon that took place during that. There were RVs that were parked on a slight incline, washed out, became dominoes. Now people were outside of them, right? Stacks of hundreds in our pockets, trying to pay off local farmers to pull cars out.
Oh my goodness.
Right? 3 years later, we were still finding flip-flops that came up through the mud, right? They've been lost. Now, a lot of our patrons took it in stride. You know, it was a little Woodstocky. They were doing like the mud slides, and you know, people were getting a little crazy in that mud. But we estimate that we probably lost 40% of our FloydFest family.
Wow. And
it was our job to apologize, face the music, and say we need to do better. That was on us, right? It's 2025, almost 2026 right now. There's not a month that goes by that I don't get reminded about FloodFest, both positive and negative. We decided to become a boutique festival after that, right? That's where the trend was going anyway. But we wanted to take care of our patrons in an intimate experience. We did not want to pack people in to see if it could fit and see how much money we could make, which is, I think, one of the flaws of some of the bigger ones right now. You know?
Didn't you even tell me that there's been certain years that you've intentionally undersold just so that people would have a better time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that used to be able to be done because costs were lower. And right now we are a boutique festival. Right now we're smaller than we've ever been on purpose, right? Because we want to make it that intimate boutique experience.
And so let's just to be clear. So people don't have to stand in line to get food. They don't have to wait in line to get into the festival. They don't have to stand 1,000 yards away to see the band. Or what are some of the reasons why a smaller festival is more enjoyable to the patron?
Absolutely, great question. So we said about earlier today, like 5 days outdoors with your family. We're a family-friendly festival, right? That's a big lift, right? And so we talk about this. You have to, in our job, get excited about porta potties. And that's just like placement, right? So get this. A family's been on the road. We have patrons from 46 states, 3 foreign countries every year. People travel to get to us. that we're grateful for that. You got 2 kids in the back. They're hungry. You all got to pee. We want to make it so that when you arrive at the festival, there's not a line for a porta potty. There's not a line for a vendor booth to grab a quick bite to eat, right? That we're going to help you get to your campsite, to get set up, that you're not going to have to search for a campsite to even set up if you got there late. We are trying to be good at customer service from pre-fest, during fest, after fest. We know that's missing, and that was very important to us after FloydFest. That was true benchmark milestone in our history, and I'm very proud to say it took us about 3-4 years, but we won a majority of those people back.
So before we get too far away from FloydFest, I do want to continue on the story because it's so interesting, and I'm learning a lot, even though I've known you for so long. But so before you became the FloydFest guy, before you became Go4Sam, there has to have been some things that you went through that it educated you on how to run a festival. And one of the things I'm thinking about is the barn parties back outside of Boone. And I remember one in particular where similar to what you just said, that I mean, I personally had to pull people out of
and it's funny, I'm trying to think, there's like 2 times when we were dealing with stuff. One was the mud and one was snow.
The snow one is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But the mud one I remember too. But yeah, talk about that for a minute. How those indie festivals that you created, which were awesome, and I'm so honored to have been a part of. How did that prepare you to do the job that you're doing now?
Great question, and I'll jump back real quick. You and I are both Fish fans. A lot of respect for the band Fish. Fish is given a lot of credit for the new age of the festival, and that really took place from, let's say, 94, 95, all the way to 2004, if you want to call Coventry what it was. Fish did a couple things logistically that were incredible, the Fish organization rather, right? First of all, they were running their festivals themselves. They were internal, right? And they had to keep it internal. They wanted to keep it internal because they could audit everything. One of the crazy, awesome things they did was they looked for abandoned airports. A lot of them were in the Northeast. Vermont had 2 of them. They knew, and they succeeded and failed at the same time with this in times because of the monsoon rains. If you want to rain, throw a festival, right? But in an airport situation, you could put the front 2 tires of every car on the airport runway so that if there was an issue, you'd be able to push people out, right?
Wow, that's huge.
Incredible. And then there was a corridor, obviously, shake down the street, if you will, in the center. And this wasn't a situation of like, Big Brother spying, but you could use the old air traffic control tower to monitor if everything was safe, right? Next level stuff that people had not thought of
That's
before.
insane.
And of course, we talked about too, the art. It was small, right? But they had the cheese house and the bubble house. Art installations, which FloydFest is known for, that are interactive. The patrons can do on the way in and out of the show just during the day. So Fish, right, gave me a love for it. I'll say this, been unlucky in some things in life. I knew from a younger age, that I wanted to throw music festivals. They spoke to me. The communal nature, what we could do for people meant the world to me. You're an incredible musician. I do not play music. It takes, I'd like to think all of us, right, for this ecosystem to survive. And I knew I wanted to do it. I actually went to New York City thinking I wanted to be an actor. I ended up just trying to throw shows down the street at the little club that would let me bring some guys in with a couple drums and do something weird. I was blessed to randomly be taken down to Boone right around September 11th, Boone, North Carolina. Give a shout out to that. And I was young and dumb and rose-colored glasses, and I convinced my landlord to let me use his 100-acre farm to throw trade music festivals. And I want to go there real quick because that's when I started to learn that our number one job is to keep people safe. I had medics, right? I had a security team. I had tents that we could take care of people in if we needed to. And on my third and final festival there, and we're in Trade, Tennessee, right outside of Boone. We're in a very religious part of the country where people weren't. I was a foreigner going in there, right? And I had convinced the power company, actually paid the power company, to put 2 power poles into the property so we could throw a good old-fashioned festival in there. Well, this lightning storm came through, and we had rivers coming through. And I watched as, in the middle of the night, the lightning hit.
And we're not talking about River Phoenix here.
No, that comes later, that club. And lightning hit one of these power poles, and it was smoldering. We, of course, evacuated people where we could, and the head of the power company, who's next door neighbor, came over. Old guy, and he's an old preacher. And I always remember this, and he looks down at me, and he looks around at the rivers, and flip-flops floating down the river and stuff, and he said, "Son, God's mad at you." I always remember that. And from that point forward, it just reinforced, I've got to make sure that we have everything covered from an emergency standpoint. I lost Trade Music Festival, shocker, after that, and it went on to do a couple of events, but that's when you and I had the fortunate confluence to meet because of the barn parties. And I'll say...
And Horn in the West.
Yeah, Horn in the West came after, but the barn was first, and give Trip credit, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Trip saw me coming out of Trade.
Sheely, shout out.
Trip Prince. To boot. Yeah, man, that's a big part of it. We're all surrounding us. Wish we had some around us. And he needed a partner to go into this barn, right? I had to live there. He was not going to live there. And this barn it's in Fosco. We could talk about it now. We used to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it had been throwing events. 1979 was the first event that was thrown there. This is 2004 or 5 we're talking about right now. And it had a totem pole right down by the river, and people had carved in it all the different shows. So you could actually go back and see a living kind of breathing history of the whole thing.
That's so special.
And you remember the barn, the big red barn, and we told each other that we could fit 400 people in there. And we took chances. It was a special time, you know, with Rack, with Perpetual Groove, with Gamachi, right?
Yeah, so the very first barn party, I remember the stage was upstairs. It was before Trip and you very
I'll remember
unfortunate very unfortunately cut the hole out of the ceiling incorrectly and caused some issues, but the stage was upstairs. And I carried my Hammond A100 up the staircase, this windy staircase.
Yeah, rickety, yes.
I think maybe
rickety.
Smith's Old Bar in Atlanta is the only other venue that I've ever
But that was metal.
played
I
at.
think that's metal.
Oh,
Ours
yeah,
was
yeah.
just...
But it was super narrow.
Yeah.
There was also a club in, I think it's Spartanburg, called Magnolias, where you had to carry your gear up the stairs. But being an Oregon player, you know,
always
most
get
musicians don't really think that much about stairs, but when you're carrying a 700-pound piece of equipment that if you drop it, it will not play the show for you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Not much help.
So first year, stage was upstairs. The second year, you guys cut the hole, right?
Yeah, Trip and I, with zero, actually, I think we had worked some construction before, obviously not paid attention to what we were doing in any way, shape, or form. And we cut a balcony, right? And the stage was going to be downstairs. People could hang out on the upstairs. Good in theory, right? Well, we cut circular saws just like this, right? Not thinking that the weight of this 200-year-old barn, it was touch or go. We are glad to be here today speaking with you. Unbelievably dangerous. And of course, you know, that was just the start of the fun of cutting that balcony. Now, the balcony, hopefully we can get some pictures up somewhere on this, it made it look cool.
Oh, well, let's cut to a clip.
There it is.
Oh, wait, we don't have, okay.
We're going to get one of those. And, well, let's walk it through, you know. That's when the really smart decisions just kept coming. I'll say this, we had those jet heaters you see in like a workshop or something like that, and we would suspend those from the ceiling with chains. And when you pop them on, they just shoot back. Just incredible to see. And this reminds me of one important point, and you know this. We threw these events in the winter, and we threw them overnight, and in our infinite knowledge at that point in our lives, we said, people will have their windows up driving by, and they won't hear it, right? That was the plan that we had.
Oh my gosh.
And after that, and we'll get back to the barn, but you remember Hurricane, and I'm going to remember, starts with 4 letters. Anyway, that blew out the road. Hugo, and it blew out the road, and that was when I learned my very first, like, what dump trucks of gravel cost. And at the same time, like, I was really impressed with how cheap gravel actually was, but not when you need to jump 15 dump truck loads to get people in and out. And we did, right? 15th green, Hounder's golf course. And then we got inside the barn, right? And you can give us a little story. I mean, we had a little issues with the stage. I mean, I'll preface you on this. The balcony with people with beverages tended to spill a bit on the bands. But what happened there?
So I think this was the 3rd barn party. And the whole theme of the festival was groove.
It was.
So it was Perpetual Groove. Mm-hmm. It was Brotherhood of Groove. And I renamed my band
yes, you did.
The Groove Sextet.
Damn straight.
And we were playing on stage, and I was on stage, unfortunately not upstairs, downstairs this time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And during the middle of our set, the stage right in the middle collapsed. So the front and the back were maintained, but the middle of the stage was completely caved in.
Who would have known that construction would do that?
So I'm sitting behind my 700-pound piece of equipment, sliding ever so slowly toward the oblivion.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, this is done. We're done. But I was absolutely amazed at the fact that within 5 minutes, there were people with, and we've all had flat tires before.
Yeah.
We've all jacked up our cars. These are jacks that I had never seen before.
Right,
These were 18-wheeler truck jacks that people rolled in from the sides, pumped the stage up, and then we just slid my organ back into place and kept playing. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced.
In the festival world, we had people like that. They said, I got that in the back of my car.
And there were everybody in the crowd. They were cheerleaders. They were cheering it on. I mean, everybody realized in that moment, if we want this fun to continue, we've got to contribute to this catastrophe that just happened.
Totally good point. It's the culture.
No one got hurt, fortunately, and the fun kept going.
It did, and you're right. No one did get hurt. And is that the snow?
That was the snow festival. So, and I'll talk a little bit about dear to my soul, Odysseus. My 2001 Honda Odyssey.
Dude, unreal. Odyssey.
So I pulled, for years, I toured with that van, pulling a trailer with my organ and everyone else's gear. I did have the tow package installed in the back of the thing.
Must have been.
But that van was
unreal.
Magical. And during that festival, everybody got snowed in.
Yeah, including people in tents.
No one really cared about.
No, we were
until the festival was over and it was time to go home.
Yeah,
and there were Jeeps and there were stuff, but I personally detached the trailer from my Honda Odyssey and pulled people out of the snow.
Unreal.
That van,
And I think that van continued to be like an amazing, like that line of vans. Honda Odysseys or something else. I think they might ruin them now.
I always thought they really missed the boat in their marketing. They should have had a commercial of a band, touring with a Honda
pulling
Odyssey.
people out of the snow in the mountains in west North Carolina.
This is a beast of a vehicle. If you're a band, you should buy this van. Yeah.
But I remember you were pulling people out. We were getting people out, thanks to you, thanks to that one other Jeep. It was like a white lifted Jeep. I remember that guy was a little squirrely. And it was on 46 acres, the barn, 46 acres, and people would camp. It was idyllic, around this little pond up there at the top. It's wild when I start thinking about the hikes we'd take to that piece of property. So special. but we started seeing tents. And I mean, we got snow that night. We didn't just get like a dusting. Like we got snow, and it was beautiful, you know? But I remember we would take broomsticks and we'd be poking the tents, right? And it seems like we're on like, you know, a backcountry alive type expedition. We didn't find anybody in those tents, which is good. But it was at moments of like, no one jobs keep people safe. That's a summer tent. There is 3 feet of snow, and very surreal times.
How much has the camping game changed since then?
Right. I mean, gosh, that's a while ago, and you're exactly right. Now everyone wants RVs. You know, we weren't rich enough to have.
But even the tent campers, there's so much gear. I mean, you know, you
need a wagon for it now.
When people go to festivals, they spend days, you know, organizing everything. You know, they've got
which is awesome to see. Now, I'll say this, don't mean to interrupt. You can tell people not to bring all that stuff, and they're going to bring it, and it's fine. It's good, you know, but it's a lot to lug around. But it's cool. The setup's great. Like once you have everything, you have your world, and you create your world with your friends. It's amazing. So the takedown's a lot.
So I've got a surprise for you. One of your favorite people and a winner of the recent On the Rise thing, Abby Bryant, is going to come.
No way.
And hang out with us, and she's going to talk with us for a minute, and maybe we can talk her into playing some music.
Oh my goodness, I love Abby. Absolutely love Abby. So talented.
But before we get to Abby, just while we kind of got off subject there, but while we're talking about FloydFest of the past, give me some of your favorite memories of the old venue, the old FloydFest. And I'm going to ask you your favorite memories, and then I'm also want to know some of the tea. I want you to spill the tea.
We're going to get some of the tea out there. You know, some of the tea just has to be really cherished and held tight. And, you know, above all, we've been quite successful to keep people safe. I want to say that right off the bat. You know, we were talking a bit, the Global Village at FloydFest, the old FloydFest site, it was down the hill, right? In fact, you could go an entire festival and not know about the Global Village down there and such. And what's wild is you go there in the off season, and it's this tiny stage, right? We would embellish that stage that it looked like just another Hill Holler, which is one of our stages. I mean, it was just full of light and life, and it's really where the late night rage went. You know, we have a sound ordinance now that we adhere to, and we're fine with that. There wasn't really such thing.
For our younger viewers, explain rage.
Rage, good call. No, that's amazing. I was trying to think in my head, what's the word for that? And it wasn't that bad decisions and stuff. It was just a party down there. And art forward and weird forward was a big part of the old FloydFest, still is about us now. We've matured a bit. But we would have these art cards, I think it's called, and one of them was called Davina the Dragon. And to paint this picture, we might have to get a picture. It's like a old Cadillac with the top ripped off and literally a 3 to 4 story dragon built on top, which, yes, breathes fire, right? And this thing,
why wouldn't it?
Right? I mean, it has to at that point. You could ride underneath this thing, which is, you know, perfect vehicle to be taking on mountains, right? And the Blue Ridge Parkway just absolutely loved it when that thing would arrive, because that's a normal vehicle you see there. And these nights, multiple nights, down at the Global Village, where that thing just spewing fire and fire dancers going and the music going crazy. I think a couple bands just blew it up down there that just really meant the world to me while this dragon's going. I hope we can find this picture. My favorite pictures is one of the fire marshals, because we're safe, sitting down this bench right beside this little girl who seems very enthralled and she's into it. And he has his hand on a fire extinguisher, staring up at Davina, the fire going. And you can tell he's filled with wonder and delight, but also a little trepidation. He's never seen anything.
Oh, I think I have that picture.
Right down there? That's where you keep it. Well, I'll be doing that to me.
I'll bring it for the next one.
Okay, we're going to find it. And then I'll say, and this kind of dovetails in, I skipped over the fact that we change our theme every single year. That's a blessing and a curse. It re-energizes our staff and our purpose and our art, and many years, and we're getting back to it. We have a huge on-site art installation that is an honor of the theme, resembles the theme. And I want to talk about a couple of those things right now that mean a lot to me in the memory game going over there. Let's go to FloydFest 14, which was Fire on the Mountain. Okay. In fact, Grace Potter, who's joined us in our new venue, she was playing. In fact, she was on the stage. So we built in the dead center of our site over 5 days. Patrons helped. You just give a bunch of patrons nails and hammers and nail guns. It's fantastic. This massive wooden phoenix. Imagine it. Kind of looked like what you're imagining, but it was massive and it's wood. And we brought out on Saturday night, peak of the festival, Grace Potter's killing it on the stage, just vocally killing it. And we light that thing on fire. Now we have a pretty good range of all this stuff, and we have our site operations teams, we have fire department officials around this. We're ready to put it out. At some point, you could tell we're not putting this thing out. This was in control now, right? Yeah. And you could see I love our staff, our volunteers, our public officials we work with. We love these. These people are incredibly talented individuals. And I would go into battle with each of them. Some of the fear we saw on their faces when they came back to us, they were keeping it together for the crowds. But when we would talk face to face, like, we got to do something about this, right? We lost 3 vendor tents. Had to replace those. That's fine. The embers got over there. That thing burned for 12 hours. Sadly enough, there was a couple wedding rings thrown in. There's some other accoutrements thrown in that never saw the light of day. We had metal detectors out and tried to find things, but that was their choice. It wasn't our choice. And so the next year, trying to kind of top that, and this is it, I won't go too much into this, but we were always 1 year off. Remember I said you started in 2002. And so it was very confusing. So like FloydFest 14, Fire on the Mountain, which took place in 2015.
Right.
We wanted to right the ship, right? And Chris and I came up with this just idea. We were like, we're going to call it FloydFest 16.
X equals X plus 1.
Yeah. But we're going to also throw FloydFest 15
X plus 1, I guess,
during FloydFest 16. So we're going to have a festival in the festival, and it's going to be secret. Now, me with the old acting background, I had this whole thing where we were going to take a dummy van, not going to really do it. It's going to hit a power pole, right? Actors. And all the power is going to go out on the site. And this one part of the site that's never been seen before, right in the woods, is going to light up. And everyone's going to go moss to a flame over there, right? Well, no one would allow me to do that. So we ended up just killing the power to the site. And it was amazing. Now, what's funny is there's still some patrons who were asleep, and they never knew FloydFest 15 took place.
Right.
But a lot did, right? And it was a magical moment to see truly. Now, we had safety lighting on, right? We're not totally dead darkness. But the parade of FloydFest family marching to this new part of site. And of course, us who were number one job, keep people safe, the people behind, we had the privilege, I get chills kind of thing, of watching our family march to this one place together. All the other stages are down, they're going down there. And so I didn't. It took me until I got there to see. Now, this was maybe 3 acres, 2 acre, and we had 10,000 people in this area. We had built, and production will say to this day, it was one of the most hellscapes they've ever had to go through, because they had to do regular production, but they also had to build a secret stage. That's kind of a bad word now in FloydFest history.
Right.
But this beautiful stage is up there, Pimps of Joy Time, remember that band?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are killing it. The crowd is into it, getting chills.
Great band name, by the way.
Great band name. They don't make band names.
There's some clunkers out there these days.
I think we're running out of band
Yeah, we're
names.
running out of band names, I think. Which actually, my friend John Ray and I have an iPad full of band names. Any of you guys, any of you bands out there,
You need one?
if you're looking for a band name, before you settle on the leaf through the dictionary and put your finger on a thing, we got band names for you. Hit us up. But anyway.
And can we give real quick the band we're just getting accustomed to, Oregon Fairchild?
Ooh.
Up Morgan Fairchild.
Love that
Guys
one.
killing it. So anyway, Pimps of Joy Time killed it. Those moments that we did throw FloydFest 15 during 16, and then all the world was right for just a bit of time, right? We were 2017 fell for FloydFest 17, right? And then the pandemic happened, and we won't go into all that, but like that kind of threw it off, right? And then, of course, we had to do a cancellation. So anyway, we're still one off. It's like the universe was like, no, you're going to be the year you're supposed to be.
Right.
But those memories mean a whole lot. You've been with us for a long time. Do you have any favorite?
I'm gonna.
You're gonna
I'm
push
getting
it back.
I'm getting word that Abby is here in
Get
the
out of
building.
town.
But so we're gonna take a quick break to reorganize. But real quick, you blew by something that I
Okay.
want to bring attention to.
Yeah.
Grace Potter
Yes.
coming up at your new venue.
Yep.
The
Across the Way
Exchange.
Exchange Music Hall. Let's see if we got some little swag there. Look at that, with the first stickers ever. Thanks, Jessica Taylor made that.
Talk to us about the Exchange real quick. We're going to talk about it more later,
Yeah.
but this is a huge thing. As if you weren't already busy
You're
enough.
right. So we're trying to punish ourselves, but we're very
It's like
grateful.
It's like instead of taking up golf, you
let's get another
decided
venue.
to.
Yeah, so it's the Exchange Music Hall, downtown Roanoke, Virginia, which is our basic second home or home. You know, it is at the dead crossroads of in Roanoke. It is Campbell and Jefferson. It is 1912 neoclassical structure. Huge columns out front. Gorgeous, gorgeous building with so much history in Roanoke, to all the people in Roanoke. We have been blessed to be invited by the partners who have owned and historic rehabilitated the building to run the music hall portion of it. It's supposed to really, the mission is to help Roanoke become more culturally relevant, right, as a center for the arts, which we are becoming, right? There's been people who say, Roanoke's Asheville 20 years ago. No, Roanoke's Roanoke now, right? And we've been building to this for a while. It's a 3-part structure. It has a 27-room boutique hotel. It has a Suerte, which is a Spanish tapas restaurant, opening very soon.
Boutique hotel. But
Right.
this sounds like a vocal warm-up or something.
It does, like red leather, yellow leather.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. And then, of course, the Exchange Music Hall, which is going to be 1,000 to 1,200 person standing venue. We open on New Year's Eve with Grace Potter, who's been part of the fabric of FloydFest many, many years. She's part of the family, right? And she's coming back to do this up in a right way. To kick us off, we're going to go dark for a couple months while the restaurant opens, while we make any needed improvements, right? Because we do care about making this the space that Roanoke deserves, that artists deserve when they come there. And so looking like March 2026, April 2026, we'll be really kicking it off, having a more concrete concert and events calendar. Don't worry, this will not take away our focus. It will only help our focus on FloydFest. It will kind of be the same ecosystem with us. We're going to have some more people come online to help us. We're very grateful for that. And we're really looking forward to working with the other complementary venues in Roanoke, which Roanoke has a bunch of those, and the promoters. And then B,
Shout out 5 points.
yep, Roanoke is missing. It's a missing piece. There's a void that we're filling, right? The bands that play Charlottesville, Richmond of a certain size, blow right by us because they don't have a 1,200 person venue to play at. They go to Knoxville, they go to Raleigh, they go to Charlotte, maybe in Winston-Salem at times, right? We needed this on the I-81 corridor to get people there. We believe Roanoke audience will support us. And of course, it's an outreach or an arm of FloydFest, which just means a whole bunch that we get to have another opportunity to entertain people.
That's awesome. I'm amazed that you would want to take something like this on at this point in your life, especially with something as big as FloydFest always on your agenda. But I know that you're an amazing person. I know you're going to be able to crush it. So we're going to talk more about that later. But for now, let's move things around.
We get to see Abby?
Let's get
Abby
in here.
Oh man, that's such a surprise.
On the
so
Rise
awesome.
winner, right?
Absolutely, and she's been part of the FloydFest family now for many years, and she just has a brand on her own, and people love it, and the FloydFest family loves it, and
She's blowing up, like working with David Schools.
absolutely, that album's killing. Me and my wife, very good friends with her. You're very good friends with her too. Thanks for bringing her in.
Oh yeah.
Look at the surprises you got for me.
No.
This isn't just a podcast.
Also, before we have Grace Potter. Oh no, wait, she couldn't
I
show
know.
up. All right, so let's shuffle some things around. You guys, it won't take any time for you guys, but thanks for waiting for us for just a second. We'll cut that part out.
All right, we're back with Go4Sam and with Dollar Bill over here, and he gave me a surprise. You being here, Abby, we love you. Thank you for being here.
I love you guys. Hey, Bill.
On the
Thanks for
rise
having me.
winner.
On the rise winner over here, we've talked about, we've talked a lot about the FloydFest family and how important that is to us. You are like Bill's family to me, and the FloydFest family to me. You are family to me, my wife Trisha, and you're just part of it all. And we are so happy to have you here. And the FloydFest crew, the family loves you. Both of our listeners love you. All right. So we got you in here today. You did a gig last night, right? Mm-hmm. And we got a big thing ahead for you. I guess let me start here real quick. You are App State. We are Boone Pride. We always say that. Boone, North Carolina, if you haven't heard of it. We talked about the barn, Boone Barn, that has a lot of lineage going back to FloydFest, but we have the best people in the world that come from Boone, amazing musicians that come from Boone. You are a music minister's daughter, and tell us where that began, and then tell us kind of about how you get to where you are now. Big swath, right?
Yeah, I guess it was a lot of questions all in one, but that's perfect.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I started out in church and under my dad's direction. He's directing everybody, the choir, and as we called it, the praise team. It was like kind of a small ensemble of all adults, and I was the only kid, so I really started out before I ever sang
You were the only
lead.
kid in that
Yeah,
band.
I was the only kid. And before I ever became a lead singer, for years I just was really like just going by ear, filling in parts, like looking for, missing layers, missing harmonies, and
Love it.
just
Did you want to be a lead singer?
I did in my gut, but I just, it took me a few years of being on stage in a more supportive role to kind of figure out that that's where I was headed.
You got a hell of a stage presence, though. I mean, did that come overnight, or was that kind of took a minute?
Thank you. It took a minute. In church, in that type of environment, you're not really encouraged to sing and dance and move around in a very attention-grabbing kind of way. So I would say that was definitely a bit of a shift for me to work my way into. At first, this is part of a perfect question, because it all goes back to Boone. Really, was when I kind of made that shift into singing lead and really being a front person. Because prior to that, I'd only sung in church, and then App State. We love App State.
Yeah.
I was just hanging out in the bars with my friends at Murphy's Pub.
Yeah, Murphy. Shout out to Murphy's. It's like we finally got Murphy's on the podcast. Thanks to you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, Murphy's and just that wonderful crew there. Just good times, and I really just kind of started. We didn't even have a band that I was the main feature in yet. It was just my friends kind of doing their thing and having me up to sing, and me realizing just from that sort of situational experience that I was like, hell yeah, I love this.
That is awesome.
And it was, even though it was uncomfortable, it was hard at first. I kind of like,
Listen, if you're not nervous, you're not doing it right.
I was a little, nervous, and it was strange to step into that role. But
So was that Murphy stage? Was that the first stage?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Remember the one like I don't know what it looks like
underneath
now,
the TV?
but yeah,
No, in the front of the room.
The one at the front of the room next to the door.
They
Is
would
that
have to put it's like the tree at the FloydFest site, but they put a column right in front of them.
And
I think she's a little young for the under the TV stage.
See?
That was a long time ago.
Okay, feeling old on this podcast, but yes, you heard tell of that.
Yes,
you still knew John Rush.
I'd heard, yes, of course, and
Yeah.
I'd heard about the changes that had already
Changes, not
the
for the
changes
better
that had
so much.
already
They just
come.
changed things.
But yeah, that was a place that I grew into my own, and
Awesome.
and started kind of embarking on this whole unfamiliar territory.
Nice.
And that was I'm the question, bringing it back to church, and how I just kind of came upon this. I didn't know that this was going to be my life. I didn't really have people in my life. I didn't have the type of surroundings to really imagine this. I didn't really have the context for knowing that this was a career option, I would say, in the beginning.
Thank goodness for Boone.
And I've known you for a while. I did not know that about you. And so I have a question, because when I was young, I was constantly surrounded by older professionals. Anytime the North Carolina Shakespeare Festival did a show with a kid's role, I was always the kid. I was in Macbeth. I was Banquo's son and Macduff's son, so I got to die twice a night, which was awesome. But I know personally, working around professionals when I was young taught me a lot about being professional from an early age. Do you relate to that when you were the only kid in the crowd, like being around adults all the time? Did it help you think about things in a different way?
It did. It did. And I will say church music, I think, is such a different environment. You've got, you've got the people leading the program that are professional, of course. But, you've got also a lot of volunteer choir members and a lot of the folks that are just, doing that out of the goodness of their hearts. So it's a mix, And I did get to experience, like, my dad in that environment. And then at the same time, I think people at church were pretty disconnected from the industry. So in a way, it was kind of presented to me like for a lot of folks who haven't been in more of the grassroots scene and seen, there's such a spectrum, right, of career success for musicians in all different types of areas that we can use our talents, right? But kind of, I think in the beginning, it was sort of presented to me like, if you were to go the professional route with music, like, oh, you're either lightning strikes and you become Beyonce, or you're kind of a nobody in that realm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's kind of that. There's the people that are only aware of like major household names in music, but otherwise haven't really seen other aspects of the scene. Would be kind of inclined to discourage you from a career, right? Just looking out for your own good, because they're very familiar with that like starving artist archetype, right. And that you can,
awesome.
That it would be it's either like the tip top of like commercial success or nothing,
I'll kind of go in real quick. My dad has two sayings that I grew up with him on, and one is there is no they, and I think a lot of times it's kind of what you're describing is. Some people always say they can do this or they do that, separating themselves from those people, right? And it was very important to me. My father told me that there is no they, that you can do that, we can do that, and it's no harm, no foul. Conditioning is something, that people go through and they can't see those opportunities. But you were able to get to Boone, like you were able to have that time on the stage. And then you eventually got to Asheville, right?
Yeah.
Was it Boone to Asheville?
I went from Boone to Charlotte to Asheville for a little while, and the reason I went to Charlotte was also Boone.
Okay, see, telling you, we're everywhere.
So I ended up, I started out in music therapy. That was my major at Upstate, and I got really interested in working with music in medical environments. Prior to me realizing that performance was a career option, like I was saying, okay. I was thinking about practical ways to use music, and I had learned a lot about using music in like the NICU setting and seeing research on that front, and I was really fascinated by that. So I started working at Levine Children's Hospital for 6 months. It was full time. It was pretty intense workload, and that was my internship to finish my
That's super cool. You get to sing
degree
every day
at App State.
That is super cool.
The tiniest little infants you could ever imagine, and they were
awesome.
sweet. That was really cool. I actually. I was doing this thing called the PAL, the Pacifier Activated Lullaby Method, that nobody knows about, but
Say that again. Say that again for our younger viewers.
It was kind of the Pacifier Activated Lullaby Method, the PAL, and it's not widely known about. Actually, a big portion of my role in this internship was to collect data about using the PAL in the NICU setting, and then present it to professionals there. But basically it was just a really fascinating way to put music to work in a way that makes a real difference in those environments. It was like a little music box, right? It's very evidence-based that infants respond the most to the sound of their mother's voice, or these really like slow, developmentally appropriate lullabies. And so I was doing this thing where it was a big struggle for them in the hospital. A lot of them, but when they're premature, if they've got certain developmental challenges, they can't like latch on and eat. So they're just at the hospital for a long time because they aren't able. They're like on a feeding tube, right? They can't feed. And so I was doing this project where we would like pre-record these lullabies for them on this little music box, and they were like sucking on a pacifier that would measure the strength of their suck and reward them with their most motivating sounds, and then like teach them to eat so they could go home.
Now
so
that's cool science.
That was
and
my
you're
job
doing the
for a
lullabies?
little while.
Like you're the one singing the lullabies?
It was a mix. It was we could put pre-recorded lullabies onto the machine. There were ones available there too, but the hospital had a recording studio. And so one of my it was like a sponsored thing, Seacrest Studios. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. The hospital had a recording studio, and my task, one of my like big intern projects was to create an album of lullabies for the NICU. And so so I was doing a little known fact about me.
I'm glad we got that out on this podcast, folks. You heard it, and then that method could maybe get some traction. Our 2 viewers could tell another 2 viewers.
Yeah.
And then we could have some. That's super cool.
It was really cool, but you know what? It is as much as that is so awesome, and I am so about music being used in that way. It was also a time where like I was after hours. I was spending so much of my time performing that I was like, I've gotten, while I was in the middle of all that process, I was like, the performance bug has bitten big time, and that's kind of all I can think about. Like I loved that, but I was ready to move on and just fully step into this role that I kind of.
That's cool. The hunger was still there.
Once it happened, or once I was on the road and stuff, I was like, this is what I got to do.
Love it.
Super cool. Once again, I've known you for a while. Did not know that about you, but
It's gonna be the tagline of the episode.
There's a hospital here in Winston-Salem, the Brenner's Children's Hospital, and most of the kids there have pretty serious diseases. And there's an organization called Arts for Life, and so both my sister and I worked with Arts for Life, and we would go and give music lessons to the kids. So I gave guitar lessons and piano lessons, and my sister as well. And then my sister and my father and I had this idea where we'd teach the kids poetry classes, have them all write poems, and then we would set all the poetry to music. And we made this record, and there's some really heavy names on the record, and it got signed to Sunnyside Records out of New York. And my sister, still to this day, when she tours, she sells that record. And every copy of that record she sells, the proceeds go directly to Arts for Life. It's pretty cool.
That is so cool.
That's cool. See, music heals. You guys both do that, and that's unreal. And we don't. It's amazing. We do. We'll just add a third thing on there. The Life Ring Foundation, Roanoke, Virginia. We're hoping to work with them in a greater role with the exchange. I would have never brought this up if you guys didn't tell these wonderful stories. But the Children's Cancer Unit in Roanoke is apparently falling way behind, and there's a lot of money that's needed for it. Very lucky to find that there's these group of people who raise really big money through having really big kind of charity concerts to really big artists who are just jumping off tour. And they're working out one to perhaps perform at the exchange in May, so stay tuned with that if this comes out for that. But we want to work with them in a larger capacity. It's amazing what, putting people together through music can do for this. So didn't know that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Didn't even have to talk about the Toon Mammals. That's coming up on a different episode. Finally got in there. So you get to Asheville, and I want to say, we don't have to Zoom. You have that touring life that you're killing it at right now. Just the other day, I had a friend come into town from well out of town, has never seen the FloydFest bus stop. Now, if you don't know the FloydFest bus stop, I drove this psychedelic bus home. My wife got really why is that here? And I got to the site, and we, of course, turned it to a music studio, and I listened to your Roll With Me, right? Maybe we can put a link up on it. It is so emphatic. It's energizing. I get chills right now thinking about it. I rewatched it twice with this gentleman that night. It's so good, and it rises to the top of so many of the other FloydFest bus stop sessions. So amazing job. And you also did a collab on there, which also gives me chills. I think you guys remember you were doing some lyrics in a car to teach children.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That was,
Grab
those were awesome.
Grab the record.
Oh, yeah.
It's right behind you.
I don't even know if it's on.
I have one of these at home, actually.
Yes, everybody. So these we still have a couple of those here. Let's see if you're on here. Of course you're not on this one.
I swear I thought it
And I
was the
think you
one
have
that I
another
was
blue
on.
one. Are you on that one? So there are some of these.
Ranford's on that one though, right?
No.
No?
No, that's like
Who
well
is it
before
that's on
reference
there?
time. Mason's on
we got
there.
Mason.
Mason, I was thinking of
Isaac.
Mason. He'll be coming on
We got
here
great-
in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, you're on one. You're
Great
on.
lineup on this one. Yes, I'm on a different one. Mine would have been, what year was this?
That's right, that's
2021.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're on
So
2022.
2021 was the year I returned, if you recall, because 2020 was canceled.
Yep.
We won Artists on the Rise in 2019.
Yeah, so it means that
And
you're
then
the only like
2021
back-to-back
Yes.
winner, so you could have the 2 years. So I say about UVA basketball, we finally won the national championship right before the pandemic. Back-to-back national champions. Sorry about that tangent, but you killed it, right? And you're part of this. And right now, let's talk about what you're doing in your career, right? You have 2 albums out. You have another one coming out. The last one you worked with Dave Schools of Widespread Panic, which that's not like a low accolade. If he's working with you, he sees something like we see. So what do you have coming up? What are you excited about coming up this next year and beyond?
Oh, man. Lots of changes. This super busy summer and fall. And then as of right now, it was kind of my one chance to kind of like take a breath and take stock of everything and look at where I've been and look at where I'm headed. And I'm really feeling inspired in a way that I haven't been before to lean into my role as band leader on a different level and just I've been enjoying writing a lot. My writing's come a long way. And speaking of which, collaborations have been kind of a big thing for me in this past year. In fact, I'll be with Jamie Dose back in Asheville on Tuesday. I'll be with Jamie and Vince Herman.
Amazing. Old
this
leftover
coming
salmon.
Tuesday, yeah. And they've been at FloydFest a ton.
Many, many years.
Yes.
Many, many, many years. And Jamie Dose is no stranger to the studio. Vince has probably been in here. Of course, Abby, no stranger to the studio.
Well, actually, y'all met here, right?
Jamie and I met here, yes.
Okay.
And Vince, in a small world, full circle, Vince and I met first at FloydFest, of course, for Buffalo Mountain Jam.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better this Tuesday.
Great guy. Great guy.
He
Almost
seems like
ageless.
a real sweetheart.
He's ageless, as we'll say. Love all Vince.
And other
Yeah.
cool collaborations. This record that I was just on with Jeff Sipe and Mike Barnes, we did a song that I had written about Helene, and we worked in the studio in Asheville at Landslide Studio. My friend Andrew Schatzberg is the engineer there, and just a really great experience. And it's gonna be featured on this whole compilation record with a lot of different Asheville artists who've written songs in the same vein, and all the proceeds are going towards raising money.
Do you know
for
the name
people
of
who've
it?
been impacted.
The album name? It's like After the Flood or
Yes.
something.
There,
Yeah.
there you go.
And I wanted like
You
guys
got it. You
pause
saw,
there.
You saw that.
I did. It's amazing.
Cool.
And like, you're dead center in Nashville. During the hurricane, my wife Tricia and I, of course, and so many other people communicated with you. Very emotional time for musicians, for everyone in that area. Of course, we got hit in Floyd, and we don't have to talk about it too much, but it's wild to think that that's just over a year ago. And then, almost got chills and emotional now. Floyd, we sent down everything we could. We ourselves had people displaced, nothing like what you guys went through. But it's kind of like, I hate to even say it like this on this, but Asheville's 9/11 or something that happened down there that will never be forgotten. You were there for that. It's amazing to me to see you give back, like you continually give back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a really unbelievable time. I don't know that there's not
words
hard to
yet.
put into words for it.
I know.
Was, for me, the main thing was just I was by myself. I live alone, kind of separate from the part of town that most of my friends are in. So I was just very by myself for days, thinking like, what in the world is happening? Because we couldn't.
You couldn't know anything.
We didn't know anything, and It was just, I ran out of water. I walked down to the fire department and asked if they were out of water too. It was just, it kind of, it's a very, very strange experience like no other, where just suddenly just finding enough food and water for the day became this paramount
Just crazy
consideration, which is, I know it makes you very grateful because a huge portion of the world lives that way.
Oh my gosh.
And it really puts things into perspective quick when all you can think about is having enough food and water.
Absolutely.
So I remember this one time, I keep talking about my sister, but it's because she's awesome. She had a gig at Carnegie Hall. Do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall?
I do. Are you gonna sing? We'll jig there.
Practice.
There you go.
She had a gig with Lionel Luiki, who is an amazing musician, and he wrote this song about water. And, he had this spiel before the song about how, where he's from, it's hard to get water. And so he came to America, and he was sitting in someone's house, and they were washing the dishes, and the sink was just running constantly while they were running the dishes. And he was just thinking to himself, oh my gosh, you're wasting so much water. Where I'm from, every single drop of that water you just wasted would make someone's day. And that opened my eyes to the whole water thing. So, that going through an experience like that, I can't imagine what that was like for you.
There was a moment of just insane gratitude that I had where I've just been by myself for days, just thinking about what am I gonna eat, what am I gonna drink, and finally somebody was able to get in touch with me. Our phones were out for a long time, and somebody was able to get in touch with me just in time to get me outside of Asheville for a few days, and they just kind of on a rescue mission found their way to my house and showed up with a cooler full of seltzers and kombucha and drinks and beers and anything you could want to have on ice. And I opened that cooler after days of just struggling to find the basics, and I was like, oh my God,
Right.
I've never, it was just like a luxury beyond my imagination.
Right.
So when Abby was here, Jamie was here making a song, and he wanted some background vocals. So I called Abby because she's awesome. And so the song that he wrote was also about Helene, and he made a music video, and it got nominated for the Asheville Music Video Awards.
Yeah.
And so Abby and I went to this
Red
award
carpet?
ceremony.
Red carpet
Yeah.
event?
So fun.
And it was what's the name of the theater? Really beautiful.
Diana Wortham.
Woo, such a pretty place.
Beautiful place.
And we sit down, and every other video was about Helene. And it all had very similar footage, the drone shots. Some of them had the exact same
drone shots.
And every single one of them had some kind of a shot at what's the venue where you guys sat on top of this?
Salvage Station.
Salvage Station. Everyone had a shot, and so, every time another one of those videos came on, we're thinking to ourselves, well, now our video is not going to be that.
Is this ours? I can't tell. Yeah.
But interestingly enough, the one that won came after ours and had all the same footage. So it was Cactus.
Oh, the puppet thing though was incredible. Well, there was
Though I loved the puppet, the Muppet one.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great.
I really enjoyed that event. There was
super
some
cool.
really incredible creations in there.
See, Asheville does it right in so many different ways. And thank you for recording that song. And I think we all need to remind everybody there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and a lot of communities in West North Carolina, even beyond Asheville, that still need help. So I think we're all there for that. I don't want to make it somber, but it's true. I want to get back to something more happy, I guess, is that you have a third album probably in the works, right?
Yes, I've been doing a lot of writing, and I can't say too much about it just yet, but I'll be recording here soon.
Okay.
And I'm just, I'm really looking forward to this next evolution, this next chapter.
And part of the evolution you talked about a bit was collaborations, right? If you could tell Bill and I, let out our two listeners, Is there artists you want to collaborate with, artists you're interested in working with?
Oh yeah, I think about that a lot. I'm staying open to any collaboration that I haven't thought of yet that could also be amazing, of course. But yet another FloydFest tie-in. I was really pleased to see that you brought two of my favorite bands as your headliners for 2026, and
Tedeschi Trucks, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I love those guys. Strangely, they randomly showed up at my first ever out of town show in Raleigh. It was the first show I'd ever played outside of just the bars in Boone at the Raleigh Poorhouse. They just happened to be like next door having dinner, and they walked in and
you have a picture with them too, don't you?
They came to see my first show. I was flabbergasted, and I've been in touch with them here and there through the years, and they came out to a show of mine in Nashville recently, this past May. But
They're real
they're
people.
so cool. They're so down to earth. They're so sweet, and so Susan is of course one of the most beautiful vocalists of all time, and Derek is like a god among men with his chops.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
There's just nothing quite like that band, and the level of refinement that they bring to that.
They're gonna take us to
that
church.
music. I mean, it's unreal. And so I would of course, it's a dream of mine to collaborate with them someday. And also, My Morning Jacket is a long time one of my favorite bands ever. Right. So
My Morning Jacket. Love that you love My Morning Jacket. You know, I heard recently it's very hard to define what My Morning Jacket is. Anyone want to take a stab? It's rock and roll.
Totally, rock and roll.
It's like psychedelic rock and roll.
Why does there even need to be another descriptor?
There doesn't. Although
rock and roll is rock and roll.
I know. I go on this thing that I say, this is from promoter side. One thing, I'll just air my grievances, I guess, real quick. Are the bios, the artist bios that are 7 paragraphs long, 3 pages long, which is fantastic, right? I think you can have it. I think that every band should have a short bio, like a 2 to 3 sentence bio, and then 4 words they could use to describe them, and then they can do whatever they want with a long bio. Because I think dummies like me, who are trying to write a press release real quick, if they don't have those 4 words or the short one, dummies like me will come up with something on my own, right? I'll be I'm just gonna do this because I'm on deadline, right? And then it's what is that? I think I called Juggernaut. I used the word juggernaut for Steven Wilson Jr. somehow, and I know now that was wrong. It said something like he was singer-songwriter juggernaut, And I'm going to keep using words like juggernaut if we don't get better words there fed to us, even though we're not the dumbest people.
Well, I appreciate this insight because it's very timely for me, because I was trying to beef up my bio and make some edits this week, and I was having the same struggle. I was how much do people want to read? They don't really.
But
good point.
As you're talking about that, so I've noticed that but a lot of females, especially right now, are going through this rebranding phase. So Caitlin Crisco, for a while it was The Broadcast, and now it's Caitlin Crisco and The Broadcast, and Downtown Abby and the Echoes, which I honestly thought was a pretty cool band name. But now you've kind of rebranded as Abby Bryant, and I feel like a lot of female artists are doing that. What's going on? Is there some sort of advice that everyone got all at the same time, or is it just the thing to do? What's going on?
Well, aside from the fact that I think being an artist is a continual, it's a constant evolution regardless,
Good answer. All state of becoming. You're all in a state of becoming.
Right.
Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
But for me, mine doesn't have anything to do with anybody else's, my own personal experience. But I agree with you and a lot of people would agree with you. I think the Downtown Abbey and the Echoes, that was our Boone bar band name, right? When we if you recall, we had this little blue-haired cartoon. Do you remember that?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And it was striking, and I actually really loved that, and it smacked. People really came out. People who'd never heard of the band sometimes came out on festival lineups, and they were I just heard this name and had to be here, and I think that's great. And I will say, I was not anticipating how strange it would be in my everyday life to be Downtown Abbey. I just did not want to live with that forever.
Yeah.
And I just like got to where I was just like walking along the street in like a random city, and somebody's like, "Downtown Abbey's over there in a flannel." I was like, "Oh my!" I just and I was like, I mean, I just also there with Downtown Abbey and the Echoes. I think it was exactly what it needed to be at the time, and it as like a first career stage, it really slapped, and it certainly got people's attention. But then there's also this like Downtown Abbey was a character, you know.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, maybe other people do, but for me, I just didn't really. It didn't align with me to like live my life as a groovy character. Like I wanted to be
sincere
me,
yourself,
and a lot of my songwriting is really vulnerable. It's really personal. It's really rooted into things that have actually happened to me, and for me, the only thing I know really how to present to people is just myself. So there.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
I just was like,
Take
I
that,
can't
Bill.
live with Downtown Abbey forever. But I love Downtown Abbey. Like, you know, she lives in my
had her time.
heart.
She is.
Yes, and
With the rest.
she's still there. I mean,
Okay,
like, well, every now and then, like I was, I'll just be like somewhere and somebody's like, "That's downtown." Like I still
Still
get
good.
it.
She's in a flannel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still happens. But I was ready to just embrace being me and finally use my name and my own, you know, my own life, my own story, and that sort of thing.
Maybe I'll get there one day.
I know you'll get there, man. You're getting there. So we have a lot coming up. We have, you know, some potential collaborations. We got a new album coming out. We got a big touring year of music and everything. You know what else we have coming up? Speaking about who you are, and I love this every year, is that you still sing holiday songs with your father at the piano, and you can find that on the social medias, and it is heartwarming. You to scroll past that. I can't scroll past it. Trish, my wife, and I, we watch it together, and it's powerful, right? It's amazing what you guys do. I'm sure Bill's family does a bunch of that too, but what she does is amazing, and I encourage everyone to look at it, even if it's a Christmas present, this whole thing.
We didn't know. We filmed one of those one time, just kind of like playing around at home, and then I did not foresee it becoming this
It's a thing.
like annual tradition that we're sticking with every year. But hey, it's a thing now. We're sticking with it. We love it. You know, it's really wonderful to be able to sing with my dad as many years as I possibly can.
You're going to cherish that the rest of your life. You know that.
It's really wonderful. And then speaking of holiday songs, back to the collab thing, Jeff Sipe and Isaac and some other wonderful musicians in Asheville, we also did a collaborative album for, you know, fundraising efforts for Halim, but we have the holiday version of that we did over at Citizen Vinyl. So that's going to be released.
That's coming
I
up.
have to check with them here soon, but yeah, that release is coming up very soon. So like, I'm
Okay.
excited to release these projects that I've paired with a lot of people on. It's been a really different kind of
That's cool.
experience this year.
Very cool.
So if they want to find those things, I guess, tell us your website real quick.
AbbyBryantMusic.com.
And so I assume, thank you, AbbyBryantMusic.com, that you can find links to like the holiday album thing you're talking about, the Helene thing coming out after the flood, and everything else, and follow you. Where else should we follow you? Like on the TikToks? You do the TikToks?
I do the
tickety-tock.
TikTok. Yes, I do. I mean, Instagram's probably the one I'm most frequently engaging on.
For our younger
Facebook,
viewers, that's the gram.
All the regular ones, you know.
All the regular ones. You still do Facebook too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Facebook's
what's your
not dead.
Instagram? What's your Facebook?
Abby Bryant Music.
Not talking.
No E in Abby. Abby
Yes.
Bryant, like Kobe Music.
Perfect. We could put some of that stuff up, like on the. We can probably do a screen thing.
It's there. You
Oh, it's
see
right
it?
there. It's right there. So I wasn't looking
Yeah,
over there. I'm
yeah.
trying not to look, trying to cheat over here.
Well, I can see it because the glasses.
Oh, yeah, you can. Those are meta glasses. You know that?
Oh, yeah.
You're like speaking to them right
I
now.
wore them one day briefly whenever we were working on something in the studio here, and I was kind of blown away by that.
I have no idea.
Okay, so would you be willing to play a little music for us?
Yeah.
Oh, that's special. Okay, thank you so much for being here. We're going to bless some music. And
Is there anything else you want to say before we go? Anything we forgot to talk about?
Maybe just something else exciting that's coming up. I'm really looking forward to my next big Asheville show. It's December 27th at French Broad, and Natalie Brooke and I are co-billing that night.
Love
and I
Natalie.
love her.
That is
She
super
so
cool.
Awesome, such a powerhouse.
another
So
guitar,
funky.
right? We did a guitar last night with Bill.
I
She's fierce,
love
man.
working with her. She and I have shared the stage together before, but this will be a special one, and we've never brought this particular combination to Asheville, so I really couldn't be more excited for this to be like my next hometown.
Oh, that's cool.
going to be a
one
lot
night
of
only.
fierceness on one stage.
Between the big holidays too, people are going to be in town. I love it.
She's certainly, I've been really excited to see her career rising and evolving. And
I hope
all
that
the great
stage
things she's
doesn't
doing.
collapse barn party style.
Yes, I bet they have better engineering standards and permitting in this day and age.
We're certainly going to have a rager that night. I'm
We're just
so
kidding.
excited to check out the Exchange, by the way.
We are too.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, no, it's going to be incredible. We're blessed
man.
to add to the ecosystem of all the stuff we're doing.
Plus, my, Grace Potter is. I mean,
she's incredible.
I've been just absolutely idolizing her since I was a little girl, and I actually saw her at Rooster Walk for a few minutes and a few years ago, and just her being in her presence, I was like, oh my God, Grace, I love you. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame we build that place up real nice, and she's going to burn it down.
she's
It's
just a force beyond.
always
forces.
has been too, just continual force, and she's in a great renaissance period in her life too, and her
Make you
music
cry
career.
too.
I
So,
love that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Tedeschi Trucks band, they have that power. They can grab your heart and twist it.
We're blessed to live in the time that we get to witness all of that and witness you and your art. So thank you, like all this.
So you want to play some music?
Yeah.
All right, let's
Awesome.
get.
All
Let's do it.
right.
Sam
Thank you.
said if you played a song, he would play the gong.
Yep. It's a new thing.
Here we go. Welcome you to our brand new segment, sponsored by Lemonheads. When you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed, you got bad breath, try a Lemonhead. Lemonheads. For everyone. Abby, do you want to say anything about the song before we start?
Yeah, this is a brand new one, and it's called Sail Away.
Love it.
1, 2, 3, 4. You and me stay stuck like glue everywhere we go. It don't take more than just one look, then everybody already knows. You and me, two peas in a pod, we laugh at everything. The very best days when we got no plans, all the loving and the space between. There's no other sound like your voice calling my name. No more surface on this great big earth to claim. Not one thing left we have to do. Just take me to the seaside, and I'll sail away with you. You and me, we find our stride, first light of each day. You rise up with the chickens while I snooze away. You're the perfect coffee break. You and me, we don't need words, it's written on our face. This thing we got burns strong and slow, 'cause the real stuff ain't a race. There's no other sound like your voice calling my name. No more surface on this great big earth to claim. Not one place left we have to be. Just take me to the seaside and just sail away with me. I thought every high meant even lows. I thought every happy thing it had to go. I thought love was one big, long and painful fight, but it led me right here to you. Now let's get out of here tonight. There's no other sound like your voice calling my name. No more surface on take me to the seaside, and I'll sail away with you. Yeah.
Nice tune. Thanks.
That's a great tune.
Thank you.
That's good.
Here we go.
The